Shoes off. Got it?
Hello. I'm Adam Papagan, and welcome to another episode of There's a Place, the show that explores the mind and personality and the deep thoughts, all using ASMR techniques. For anyone who watches the show regularly, you know I don't belong on this planet. I'm just visiting here, trying to get back to my home world. But the things that human beings do are just so perplexing to me. I really don't understand what's going on so often. And the way that was reinforced to me recently was, folks, food is just too flavorful these days. I really think it all started when you started doing the fusion food, the Korean, Mexican food and stuff like that. It was this terrible hybrid where it tastes so delicious. It tastes more delicious than anything that could ever exist in nature, and it becomes addicting. We all know, anyone who grew up in the last 10, 15 years, high schools, middle schools have hot Cheetos they sell to the kids. The kids get hooked on them. They have pink fingertips, and they can't stop eating the hot Cheetos and the hot fries because it's addicting. Nothing could ever exist like that in nature that's that crunchy and that hot. Maybe you could fry up some grasshoppers, but it's gross to eat bugs, so you just eat chips, and it's going nuts. They have chips that are Reuben sandwich flavored and biscuit flavored, and it's so bizarre. Obviously, it's not going to catch on. People aren't going to be eating Greek Euro chips for years to come, but it really sets a very dangerous precedent because these chip companies are mad. They know that they have lightning in a bottle, and they're mad with power. They're just going to keep introducing more and more bizarre flavors with more and more salt. You got the Mexican candies, so there's Mexican candies that are just salt and sugar and a hot flavor all mixed together. They're not even a flavor, they're just the bases of flavors. It's really getting nuts. I had some candy earlier today. I got to the studio a little bit early, and I was walking around, had some of that candy. It was so hot and sweet and sugary. My mouth was going crazy, and I got into the studio. It's been hot past couple of days here, and it's so hot outside. I got in, I was hot. I had a cool drink of water, and that was so refreshing. What it's really all about is getting back to just have some water, have something without flavor every once in a while, cleanse your palate, enjoy what you would be enjoying in nature in a natural setting, but also enjoy that it's cold, because in the wild it would be hard to find cold water unless the weather was cold. So accept the new, accept the old, and stay hydrated. Let's get right into the show. My guest tonight is a rapper. This is another one of the ones where I call it a blind interview. I don't call it that, but it is. I've never met him before. Other than that, producer-director Adam Bennett said, let's have Jess The Facts on the show. I think you'll like him. And I said, okay, great. Can't wait to meet him. So let's do that now. Here he is, Jess The Facts.
Good to see you again.
You too, yeah. I'll just try to talk softly.
Okay.
This is a ASMR talk show. Do you know what ASMR is?
I did a little bit of research. It's sensory.
Yeah.
Trying to stimulate senses.
But with, being delicate.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm into it.
Yeah, I am. I didn't know much about it. The soft talking kind of came up by accident on the show, and somebody said, "Hey, that's kind of like ASMR," and I said, "Great,
let's run with it."
Yeah, exactly. Do you have that kind of personality? If you hear about something kind of odd that you want to get into, or you just kind of jump into it?
I do. I absolutely do. I'm an entrepreneur by nature, and so I have a couple different businesses that I do, and a lot of them are these I've tried all kinds of get-rich-quick schemes, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. When
you never know what's going to catch on.
That's true.
So when you say you're an entrepreneur, what do? Break it down.
Well, I read when I was 17 that every multimillionaire has 7 sources of income. So I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And my philosophy, way before that movie Yes Man came
Yeah,
out,
I love Yes Man.
I always say yes to everything, even if it's painful. You know, somebody calls me, oh, you need to do, can you do this? Can you do this? Okay, yeah, I'll do it. But I've always done that, said yes to the universe so that the universe can say yes to me.
Exactly.
And so I have an owner in a skate shop in Moore Park, which is fun. I have a record label that I'm a majority shareholder of. I do a business called Designated Drivers, which is an upgrade of Uber, where we take the human, the inebriated human, home in their own vehicle.
Oh,
And they
okay.
have a follow car so that they get their car home. Because the number one reason why people drive drunk is so they
Totally.
get their vehicle home. And then I DJ. That's another source of income. And then one of my most recent entrepreneurial ventures is I bought a franchise called We Buy Ugly Houses. And so it's a flipping houses franchise,
Yeah.
which is originated in Dallas.
I've seen the signs.
Exactly. And so, you know, we pay for advertising, we pay for those signs, we just bid on some commercials. So you'll see some commercials if you watch daytime TV show. That's the
I do.
target market. You know, if you're on the, the Jerry Springers and the Price is Right and those type of things. So we buy ugly houses and we fix it up. And then I'm part owner in a sheet metal company, which is, you know, another adventure. So, and I have 2 kids. So
Could be an investment because they could, you know, grow up to be really rich or talented or something.
although,
So,
Adam, I read that by the time your kid goes from 0 to 18, you've spent over $1 million per kid. So I'm already in debt, $2 million
Yes.
to these kids.
but their earning potential could be more. You never know.
I hope so.
The odds, you know, who knows? You know, you could have a little Mark Cuban, a little Beyonce.
Let me not drop the ball.
Yeah,
what I got.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be. As you said, you've been involved in other get-rich-quick schemes that aren't part of your empire, maybe, that didn't work out.
Right.
What was the craziest thing you ever started up?
That's a good question. Before online shopping got famous and started being popular, I worked with this company that would deliver the food to or items to your house, and this was in the late 90s, and we would go around and take orders, but it was a little bit ahead of its time because now people are actually doing it. They're ordering stuff to their house and they're doing it, and that's what we would do, but it was a little bit ahead of its time and bad timing, and I lost some money doing it.
But you never got into anything crazy, any kind of like Herbalife?
I did.
Oh,
of
you
course.
did?
Somebody asked me to do Herbalife, and I said yes, absolutely.
Saying yes to the universe.
I said yes, and I tried it, and you know, I went and worked out, and I sold some to my mother-in-law, and that was about it. And it wasn't necessarily a thing for me, but that is definitely a good pyramid scheme.
Cutco?
Cutco, of course. Dude,
Did you do that one?
Yeah, when I was young, I did that one. I sold to my neighbor a set of knives, and that was it. I have to do everything. Somebody told me, I grew up boxing, and somebody told me that I couldn't do a cage fight, and so I did, and it was on Spike TV with John McCarthy, if you know who he is. He's the #1 referee in the UFC, and he actually is a close friend of mine, and he was filming a reality show about how to train UFC fighters, and it was happened to be by Spike, and so I got on there and I lifted weights for about 6 months and fought and knocked some dude out. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Because somebody asked you to, or because you
Somebody
wanted to
told
get
me.
into ultimate fighting?
Well, I enjoyed the combat
Okay.
from boxing, but they said, oh, you couldn't do that. I don't think you could, but you might do okay. And so I said, I'll see what I can do. And then John McCarthy is one of my neighbors, so I said, okay. And he happens to be the #1 UFC ref, on Earth, actually. That's how they know him as, So he's, if you ever Google John McCarthy.
Was there a time that saying yes did not yield good results.
Absolutely.
And you have to say yes no matter what. It's
Yeah.
kind of catch-22, even if something bad happens.
Yeah. Oh man. There's been saying yes. Certain friends will take advantage of you, and yeah. I went to jail over saying yes. I'm a pretty upstanding, law-abiding citizen, and that occurred.
Can you get into that at all?
I can't because it's still an open case.
Oh, okay.
Adam, but it's one that you will be privy to. It's big enough to where you'll read about it eventually. Once it's, yeah. Let's just leave it. Let's leave it
Okay,
at
yeah.
that,
Stay
my friend.
tuned for that.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Update.
We'll come back to
Part
that.
two.
If I'm not in jail, we'll come back to that, and we'll do a part 2.
Did you have to? Did you like go to the holding cell? Did you already like go to jail?
I went to
A little
jail
bit?
and I bailed out. I'm out on bail right now, Adam. Believe it or not.
Wow.
But I'm also I'm a professional rapper. I've been rapping since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I guess that comes with the territory. But my rapping, I've never really gone into the pimps, hoes, money, clothes type rap. I always wanted to be intellectual with it.
Mm-hmm.
I never really did any cuss words or anything. So this is not the stigma that I try to present, but I guess it comes with the
Eventually,
the
every rapper has
rapper
to.
territory.
Yeah, you a little bit of cred.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have any cred. I want to be uncredible.
Yeah, exactly. Did you eat any of the food in jail?
I had to.
Well, like the food that they make, the spread. Do you know about this?
Yes.
You had
And
it?
In fact, I told one of my cellmates that he should make a company because he made really good spreads. I said, when you get out, because you don't have much going on for you, but you're freaking really good at making spreads. I said, make one of those trucks that you pull behind you, like the carts at Home Depot. They have the hot dog things that you can just pull around. I said, call it Spread Your Bread, and target the people who just got out of jail, and it'll be niche and so low on cost. It's so cost effective.
Crackers and ketchup.
Yeah, and you can top ramen and hot pickles. That's what.
Is that in it too?
Yeah, they cut up hot pickles and hot Cheetos, and it's a whole crazy thing. I was in there for 6 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's a whole nother world, man. But I experienced it, and that's kind of how I live my life. I want to experience everything.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I want to counter as much culture as I possibly can. Being an educated, Caucasian man. I have 2 college degrees. I have a college degree in audio video production and then one in communication studies. And I was on the speech and debate team in college, and I'm emphatic with words. But I like to do what people say you can't do. That's part of what drives me. That's what wakes me up in the morning. I still play basketball 3 times a week, and I'm old. I'm getting old, but that's how it is. Life is crazy for me.
Talking about wanting to experience things, I was reading this. It sounds like you might be the same way, but I was reading this. I don't want to say I read the book. I read a summary of the book, but very detailed outline. But this guy was talking about how certain people live in the past, certain people live in the present, certain people live in the future. If you live in the future, then you're more likely to save your money, floss your teeth, not do drugs or alcohol, stuff like that. If you live in the past, you're more likely to be like sad and unhappy because you do everything is like painful. But if you live in the present, like I realize I do, everything is just like, yeah, all right, yeah, like, come on, let's do it. I want to just try everything because you're not worried about the future because it always works out. Is that how you are?
It'll pan out, but it's your opportunity to, as cheesy as it sounds, to carpe diem. You have to seize the day. For me, I haven't slept since 5 yesterday morning. I woke up at 5 and I've been running since then. So I'm on almost 20 or maybe 36 hours of no sleep. But I went, I played basketball. I worked last night. I was driving drunk people home last night. And then I went to play basketball for 2 hours. Then I dropped my kids off at school. Then I went and had a business meeting with my partner. And then I mastered my album, my newest album, and then I went to a gong show over here in Shambhala Studios, which is one of our sister studios. It's in Chinatown right here, and they gong comedians and rappers.
Yeah, like the gong show.
Exactly, and then I came right here. So I'll go back to the studio and knock out some more songs, and then I'll go home and finally sleep.
But people always try to tell you, like, don't be so impulsive, don't just run, take time out. How do you counter that, other than it being your personal preference or nature?
You gotta do it. You gotta make sense of what comes your way. And my basketball, I played basketball and football in high school, as well as boxed. But you miss 100%
The shots you don't take.
And those people who are safe and reserved, that's the style of life that they're going to live. And that when you reap small rewards and you put in small efforts, that's how it's going to pan out. But my favorite saying is, you got to risk it to get the biscuit, baby. That's what you do, and that's how I live my life. I go full blast or no gas. That's how I live it, man.
I love it. It's my favorite saying. I think it's from Christian Science or like religious science, one of those kind of new agey slants on Christianity. But I think it's Christian Science. If you wait never doubting, you'll have all you need every moment.
That's right. It's clever.
So I'm not worried about it, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I always argue that everything always is fine. In the present, like moment to moment.
Yeah.
You could be worried about something bad could have happened, but
it seems like a waste of life to worry about things, It just like a video. Adam, one of your co-producers here, we worked on a video together. That's how I met him. And there's a scene where I'm climb up these rocks, and it's in the wintertime in Malibu Canyon, and there's this freezing cold, probably 30-degree water, and I'm in a full three-piece suit, and I'm climbing up there and up these huge rocks, and it's for the music video, obviously, but there's a time where you just jump. You throw caution to the wind. That's what you do, and whatever will be. Que sera, sera, and that's how you got. I think that's how you got to enjoy life. I think the other way of life, safe and practical, and
there's no passion.
Yeah, but there's no passion, and that's what we gotta treat it. I think with everything.
Yeah, to each his own. But
yeah.
Guys like you and me. Let's go to Vegas after this.
I'm ready.
Can you stay a couple more hours?
I can stay. I can make it happen. I'll get a Rockstar.
Yeah.
Our record label is sponsored by Rockstar, so I'm not trying to plug it, but I got a bunch of them. So we can go. We can grab some of those and then go to.
And who knows what could happen?
We can make it. We can make $1 million, man. We can go bet on all these football games that are coming up.
Is that the best way to? Do you know anything about gambling?
Yes.
And okay. Is that sports gambling is the best, right?
No, not unless you want to bet. Blackjack is the number one. Mm-hmm. And if you can get just you in the house, just you and a dealer, and with one deck, a single deck, then you can count cards, and you can. That's when your odds are best, because it's 50-50 every time, but you can dictate your own fate. And roulette is the same way. When they spin the thing and the ball.
Roulette is good? Oh, because it's black or red.
It's black or red.
But then do the number.
Yeah, you can bet on the number, and then.
Wow. That was unbelievable.
He must have saw the parrot on my hat.
Yeah.
And was attracted to it.
Oh wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is unbelievable.
We have a new special guest.
Pete
the parrot.
Well, he's not on camera, so you didn't see any of that, but here he comes.
There is
Jess, you want to say hi to Magnus?
Magnus the parrot. Do you like my hat, Magnus?
He's very upset. He just flew into a wall.
I have some of your friends and relatives on my hat.
Sorry about
Wow, no, that's all right. It's exciting. This is a live show.
This is what happens.
that.
This is,
So I
okay.
started.
All right. Yeah. And now the dog in the background is running around.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize that we were doing that.
Yeah,
This
by
is
the
amazing.
pool. Did you go get out to the pool at all this summer?
Of course.
Well, you do a lot, of course, out there.
Yeah. Believe it or not, one of my favorite jobs in college was teaching kids how to swim. And so I had a job at a gym, and my boss was a ex-professional wrestler from WWF named Biff the Beautiful, and he also went by the Surfer, and he wrestled with Andre the Giant and the Hulk and everything. And he was always drunk. He had his thermos. There was never coffee in it, but his nose was always red, and we were always at the pool. But
Drunken at the pool.
yeah, and we were teaching kids. You know, it's interesting with infant kids, they have an innate ability to swim. So when you let them go underwater, because they've had that time in the placenta, they start kicking and start doing the motions without even being taught, which is an interesting, human trait. But that's a whole other side note. Since we got the pool here.
Yeah. I miss the pool. I didn't get it all this year. I didn't even put on a swimsuit once. Not even at the beach.
Is that right?
It just didn't work out. But that's my fault.
Well,
We live by this beautiful ocean.
Yeah, you're right here. I'll tell you what, though. If you're on a date with a girl, taking them to the pool or to the beach is the best way to see what's going on without having to be a pervert. That's the way
More classic wisdom
yeah,
from that book about the entrepreneurs.
that's right.
What were the 7 things that entrepreneurs have for money that you were talking about earlier?
No, they have.
What do they do to get? What are their income sources?
Well, no, they need the average multimillionaire has 7 different sources of income, so it doesn't matter whatever
Oh,
the
any set. I got it.
And so I try to do stuff that I'm passionate about, like music. So I do a song a week, and I've done about 20 albums, and it's all been self-produced, and I record and mix and master because I don't like to wait on anybody. So I learned how to do all that, and that's what I went to school for. And I think as far as music is concerned, it's kind of been like dying, once Napster and all that stuff has come out. It's taken away from the music industry. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be a professional rapper. I'm a white guy, I'm not gonna make that. So I gotta find some other ways. So and then I said, I gotta venture out. And so now I just say yes to every venture. I put in my own money and go. And this Wee Ugly House is actually we're going to be on HGTV, Adam, because the people that we partnered with. There's 4 brothers, and they all quit their jobs to do this business. And HGTV is doing a special on them. They picked up their show. And so we're going to sneak in the back, and I'll get in the back and wave hi. And so if you're on HGTV and you see the Evans Brothers, that show, Uncle Jesse will be on there.
Okay. Oh, you do every possible venue, stream promotion. Yeah, you have to.
You have to, because the economy's so rough. And then people, one thing I can't stand is people complain, like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You just got to figure out how to be water. Since we're here we're not by the pool anymore.
We're shrunk down by the grass.
But you got to be water. You got to be able to be pliable with whatever's coming along your way, and you got to make it happen. So naturally, it's a buyer's market right now. So I'm buying houses. I got certified to buy and appraise houses, and that was that. But you got to do it. And people that sit and complain, it's because they're not efficient. They're not active. They're not a red personality where they say, oh, okay, I see what needs to be done. Let's get it done. And jump off the bridge, baby.
Going back to the rapping for a second, what word do you rhyme the most in? Because you must have done hundreds of songs and featuring and stuff.
Yeah.
You've probably said more utterances than like the average person
I'm
by
sure.
like hundreds of factors of hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah, I think
Just more time talking, moving your lips.
I talk so much, and it's all day long, and my wife is actually introverted. And so I do all the talking for her. But the phrase by default that I think I say the most, to answer your question, is my tagline, because I also co-host a radio show called hiphopphilosophy.com radio. It's an online show that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we do a new show every Monday. But I say, I'm the man with a buttery voice, the number one choice to keep all the ladies moist, DJ Jess The Facts. And so that's that's probably what I utter the most.
But like in terms of rhyming, like a couplet of rhyming words, is there a pair of words you like?
Ooh.
Do you rhyme facts with stuff a lot because you have to throw your name in there?
I do. I would say yes, but I try to avoid that because, I don't want to be cliche.
Just the facts on the tracks.
Exactly. That could be, I've said stuff like that. I'm back again to bless the tracks, the truth in the booth, Mr. Jess The Facts. I've said stuff like that, but I try to avoid that. I think the secret to being a good MC is to keep the audience guessing. It's like Larry David, who's a genius comedian, probably the most genius comedian writer on earth. He always kept me surprised. Where other TV shows, I could see where it was going, Friends or any of those ones, I knew it was going to happen. But with Larry David, when he wrote Seinfeld and when he wrote especially Curb Your Enthusiasm, you're like, oh, you turned it that way instead of this way. And I think that's refreshing in as an artist and refreshing as a consumer of art.
Your name, Just the Facts. Just the Facts.
Yeah.
From the show
Dragnet.
Yeah, you a big Dragnet fan?
I'm a huge. My grandpa raised me. My grandpa boxed professionally and was a Purple Heart winner, and he has the record for the most jumps out of a helicopter in Vietnam, which is interesting. He's got interesting.
In the whole war?
Yeah, in the whole war. He's a helicopter trooper, a paratrooper, so he has the most jumps, recorded jumps. But he would always listen to records. I'm a big DJ fan. When I DJ, I only spin records. But we would listen to old Joe Friday Dragnet records, and not to be chauvinistic, but when a girl was getting out of hand, whoa, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And I loved that, and I loved the play on it. And I said, it's not that clever, but I'm gonna put my name Jess. And
no, I like it because it made me think of Dragnet, and I was like, oh, I like that.
Exactly, and that's such a great show, well written, and it was a radio show before it became a TV show, and then
there's a black and white version, a color version.
Yeah, I don't know who did the movie. Who did? Was it?
Wait, which? Because there's one with like the main guy.
The main guy, but then
there's one with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd.
Exactly.
Do you like that movie?
I did.
I love the Dragnet movie.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like nobody knows about it. Nobody's seen it.
That's too bad. That's a classic piece of cinema.
It's low rated too on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb.
Oh, is it?
Like 6 or something.
That's
at 8. That's really good. Great LA locations. It's one of those kind of movies.
Yeah.
Where it's just like landmark after landmark.
Yeah, and a lot of my albums I'll pull from those old records. I'll pull audio from Joe Friday saying, in Los Angeles, and talk about a police officer could get killed, and and it's I don't know, it's nostalgic for me, but I think it's interesting because people aren't exposed to that, that form of medium, that old school radio show, and it really, the writing was what hinged everything, and not, the visual.
Yes, that show was that had a really low budget, intentional, like not. And they gave it a low budget, so it all had to just be like they're in a room back and forth, talking just like on the radio.
Exactly.
I always like when they can do a lot with that. Like when we do this show, when we do a public access show that's like more scripted, and the way I always try to think about it is, how much money does it cost to do a play? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's just like some people talking. There's some plays that are one scene and just have two characters, you know, so there's always a way to do it, to be clever and go into your mind.
Well, and then like, what's his name? Seth MacFarlane, is that his name? He does all those voices. He must have a blast doing that before the cartoon airs, or I don't know how I'm not sure how he records it, but I'm sure he has a blast doing all those voices and having. There's so much you can do with so little, you know. And audio, to me, I'm a huge audio fan. I love the sound of everything. I think it's called an audiotistic learner, not autistic, but audiotistic. So when I hear something, I'm
Auditory
auditory
learner.
I can almost memorize it. And when I was in college, I could just sit there and kind of doodle on the paper, and everything would soak in. And then when it came time to the test, I didn't really have to read books. I would just knew it because it sunk in. So it's kind of like a weird gift, a talent maybe. A lot of people are haptic learning when they touch, or you know, very visual. Most men are super
I'm
visual.
visual, yeah, for sure. I can't, if somebody tries to tell me how to do something without showing it to me, my mind just goes blank. Like, I can't listen to the instructions. I remember one time in PE, like middle school, the coach was like, I know you're an athlete, but you know how people who do sports are. You know, they're very like, if you are not good at sports and you're trying to do sports, they will let you know.
Yeah.
They will let you know that you're not doing the sports well. And he was trying to explain to me how to like hold a bat, and I'm left-handed, so he was telling me the right-handed way, so already it was backwards, and I was confused, because I wasn't doing it left-handed. He had me like, put your main hand there, whatever. But he was just telling me like how to stand, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do this. And he's like, all right, go back to the line. And I didn't even get the pitch. Because he wasn't, if he had been like, go like this, you know, I could have done it. But anyway, that's a tangent. I'm not a athlete myself.
Well, you are gifted because the left-handed community can access both hemispheres of the brain simultaneous, where us right-handed people, it shuts off, like how a shark, when he's sleeping, you know, he'll shut off different quadrants of the brain. When we have to shift from our mechanical to our creative parts of the brain, it shuts one down and starts with the other. But you left-handed people have the gift where everything's running all at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm always jealous of left-handed people.
It's a cool club to be in. I always notice when other people are left-handed.
Yeah.
You can kind of, You know, it's like if you're the same religion as somebody,
Right. Oh, yeah.
but it's like an obscure religion, you know.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
You get the promotion.
Exactly.
You couldn't. That would be setting some cool precedent if you hired somebody because they're left-handed. That'd be discriminatory.
It would be, but I think we'd let it fly. I think I'd let it fly. Because I like left-handed people. I think some of the greatest comedians are left-handed. And I think that's the hardest medium on earth. I've tried it 3 times. I've tried stand-up comedy 3 times, and it's not easy.
It's really tough to get started with it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to all these open mics, and you're hearing all these people who don't want to be there, and you don't want to be there yourself. And it's not rewarding. You have to be, because if you come in from music, and also if you're like owning your own business and stuff, you see the rewards. You're working for yourself, you see those rewards. With comedy, you don't see the rewards, maybe ever, even if you're a big comedian, you're always looking on the downside of everything, and that's why you're funny.
Exactly.
But I think the people who are truly natural at it, you could learn how to do it. I think you can learn how to do anything. But the people who are the most natural at it are okay with like not being rewarded for anything. They're used to that.
Yeah, no, I want some laughs. Give me some laughs. I'll get mad.
You know, they're okay if there aren't, because there's, it's gotta be, they're all weird.
Exactly.
It's interesting. The comedians are interesting. I've never met 2 that were exactly the same way.
Yeah, a lot of them have really dark sides, which brings out this focus on the light, and the lighter side of life.
You need
And
that
so I've always-
contrast to
I've
be
always
able to see
appreciated
it.
that about comedians. They have, they balance out everything. It's like, okay, I'm a dark person, but I'm gonna see what I need to see over here and have a different take on it. But Adam, I want to know what you think about aliens.
Oh, I love aliens.
Since we're here on this green screen and it's
Yeah.
like alien-esque.
Okay, that's cool. That's a compliment, alien-esque. I love extraterrestrials, UFOs. All these conspiracies and stuff, I don't know about that. But the fact that people are into it, there's a phenomenon around it, that's what I'm interested in.
Huh.
That there is a phenomenon. On Coast to Coast, George Norrie calls it, George Naft, he's the replacement host, or the villain, he calls it the unified theory of weirdness. Just like there's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
That's, like, thinking you saw a UFO is definitely a real thing. UFOs, maybe, maybe not. But a lot of people think they saw UFOs.
Oh yeah. Tend to in the Midwest here.
In the desert,
The desert.
I've seen 2 UFOs.
You have.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about it.
I mean, they probably weren't spaceships, whatever. Okay, so the first time, well, I'll tell you about the second time first, because that wasn't as impressive. Second time, I was going on tour with my buddies, and we're going up the West Coast and back. And I was like, oh, we should stop in Mount Shasta, because that's where they have a lot of UFOs. There's supposed to be like an underground base in Mount Shasta or something like that. And they're like, we don't really have to, it's not really on the way, like, we don't have time. I was like, okay, fine. But we're up near Oxnard.
Okay.
And they got the Air Force Base.
Of course.
Walk outside, and then there's just this like craft with like this crest, this like fiery crest around it coming in. Now probably that was just some airplane or something, or the coastal breeze or the atmosphere or whatever. But that was a bright thing I saw in the sky.
Yeah.
The first time I saw a UFO, which was a lot more profound, I was in New Mexico, which they have a lot of UFOs in New Mexico.
Roswell and all that.
Yeah, this was near Albuquerque, so south. But yeah, New Mexico is known for UFOs, Mexico and Arizona. And we were on the outskirts of town, we were driving in. And I was kind of like half asleep, just in the van. And there was this flash. And not only did I see it was real quick, but not only did I see it, I felt it. And it kind of jolted me awake. And 2 other people in the car also felt it. Like, what was that? So
Was that like a sound barrier? You think it was like a sound barrier?
Oh, it could have
sonic
been
boom
that.
type of thing?
It was more just like an energy going, like just like an instant, like, wait, something just happened, but it wasn't like measurable. There's no evidence. It wasn't measurable.
Okay.
But that was definitely a UFO type sighting experience. So I would chalk that up, and now I get to say that I've seen a UFO and experienced it or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man.
Are you into aliens?
You know what? I very much am, and I have my own little weird theory. That's the theory of Jess The Facts. But I feel like aliens, the way that we portray them in the media, they have these big, huge brains that they've used, and then they got this small, frail body with, that's used to conduct their machinery. I feel like that's the way the human race is going. If you believe in evolution, they've evolved from this Cro-Magnon man with the thick skull and, brute strength and all that stuff, to now we're getting to be, we're standing upright and we're walking around and we're thinking, as opposed to fighting off saber-toothed tigers or whatever animal they're fighting or have to kill. But I feel like the way that man, us, is going to head is we're going to evolve to bigger brains, and I see kids nowadays just stuck on their little Instagram things, and so that's all they're really going to need. So it's natural for our bodies to kind of shut down, and if we don't need big strong bodies, we're going to shut down. So my theory, Adam, is that because it would be arrogant for us to think that we're alone in this infinite universe with black holes that have another set of infinite universes. But I think that the ones that would be interested in us are the humans that have evolved and have time traveled back, if that makes sense. So I believe that the aliens that have come to Area 51 or that they have in Area 51 or Roswell, or the most recent one that was in Florida, I think it was a couple days ago, had a big, huge thing on YouTube of it. But I think it's just us humans that have figured out how to time travel and have come back to check on things or to, whatever.
Interesting.
But who knows? It's just my, attempt at understanding what may not be understandable.
I think it is understandable, because if they're visiting us now, then they've always been visiting us.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, in ancient times, there must be people who saw them, there must be records of them, things like that. You can look back.
And they show that in like the Temple of Chichen Itza, which is down near Cancun. They show images that look like, and that technology, the technology of the pyramids on both, continents, Egypt or Africa and South America. Those were really hard to build. I don't know how they did that.
They could have been experiencing some kind of... I think that if aliens are visiting us, they could very likely be interdimensional beings who can move through time, because, like you were just talking about, because, 3 dimensions very easy to conceive of. There's something over here or whatever. Well, the 4th dimension, time, if you can move around in 3 dimensions, you can obviously move around in the 4th dimension.
Right.
It's just hard. We're thinking about aliens as humans. We're thinking like humans. We got to think like aliens.
Right.
So they're moving all through time and stuff like that. And I think they're coming here. Maybe they built the pyramids as like batteries and stuff. They're not my theories. These are out there. But I think they're coming here to harvest like our emotions, because that kind of stuff is more fluid.
They've lost it.
Like when we go to get energy, coal is terrible for the environment. We have to go to our environment. I think it's usually destructive. So maybe this is a little Matrix-esque, but maybe like all the bad things that happen in the world, the day-to-day stuff, the big stuff, they use that, like in Monsters, Inc. They're using that.
The laughs, yeah. And the screams, yeah.
Yeah, they're using it to power something. I don't know. It's tough. You can't spend too much time thinking about that, because then you can't run your skate shop and your
But
record label.
Along those same lines, and this is what I'm a firm believer of. When we talk about the brain and the capacity of it, and the electricity that goes on, intelligent people only use about 12% of the brain. So when you talk about moving through 4th dimensions, what else is that part of the brain that we're not accessing, capable of doing, And I think that, traveling time and traveling space, maybe that's the answer in the future. Who knows? Maybe that's why aliens' heads are, pictured as obscurely large. Possibly. I don't know.
Right. I hope we can find out.
Me too.
I've always secretly fantasized of like a Star Trek world where there'd be aliens like walking down the street and stuff. And
exactly. I'm a big fan. But along those same lines, I don't want to, ingest too much of my Jesse doctrine, but I just did a song about Google, and I think that Google is slowly going to transfer over to the brain, because these kids that are growing up, they have an almost instantaneous amnesia, because the answer to this, I'll just Google it. They get the answer, use it for what it is. Boom, that's out the window. Where, when we were growing up, we had to read and, try to retain
witness things.
Exactly. But this, all you do is Google, and so it's replacing the functions of the brain, of holding that knowledge and processing it and thinking about it and finding it and really being able to toss up ideas in the air and question it. No, we just go to Google and we take that as doctrine. We take that as gospel, and I mean, it's gonna take over this generation where if it's not in these search results, that it doesn't exist. And so I don't know. I'm thinking about that lately because of this Google song that we did, but it's taking over the world. Google is a big, huge business, and I read business magazines, and they take over like 300 businesses a year. They engulf these businesses. And one of my friend's business, the reason I was taking he's got a marketing company called Scorpion, and they wanted to engulf them, and he was like, no, make us partners, you know. So he played the game and became partners with Google instead. And so I don't know, it's something that's been, you know, was on kind of close. So I started researching all that stuff, and
it would be very easy for them to just change information.
yeah, maybe.
If they're the main, we'd have no recourse.
You can't fight Google.
There's just with the internet in general. If your internet goes out, you can't do anything to fix it until they come and like rerun a wire or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. My pack. Move the cable away from the pack. That's Google there, right? No, you're good. I kind of let the wire go everywhere. Maybe they could just change information. It would be so simple. You'd have it. Then you can't get a different internet provider. We just have Time Warner at our house. That's it.
That's it.
That's like $75. They keep raising it. We can't do anything about it.
Can't. It's a monopoly.
But you have to have the internet
Otherwise, you're not plugged in. You're not in the matrix.
to like renew your driver's license and stuff. You have to like use government services. A lot of them. You got to go online to do stuff.
Exactly.
But you need to pay $75 to this company so that you can use these things. You can get. It's very like I'm on unemployment benefits right now.
Sweet.
And yeah, it's awesome. The government websites are weird. Some are so bad, they're so behind. They don't have like they only do faxes, whatever. The unemployment website is great. It's like that healthcare website, you know, was a big disaster when they did that. The unemployment website is awesome. It's like Yahoo. It's so easy to log in. But
I think not to sidetrack you,
Yeah.
but I think the healthcare being a difficult site and being
on purpose.
I think that was all part of the plan so that not very many people could sign up. Just a side
That
note.
makes sense. But at the same point, even to sign up, the money that you're saving on the healthcare that I'm getting from the unemployment office, part of that is going to have the internet so that I can go like claim the benefits and do the stuff. It's very screwy. I wish that some politician would get into that. Make it a utility like the gas company or water, because you need to have it.
Gotta have it. I have a buddy who he sells American flags. Okay, that's all he does. He makes over $18,000 a month, but he's hired a guy to hack into Amazon, and in the search results on Amazon, number 1 through 10 are all his American flags. And how lazy are we as Americans that we're going to click to the next page to buy an American flag? He makes over 18 grand a month selling just cheap American flags. That's it. But because he can get high on those search results, you know, that's what we do. We're the rat pushing the pellet, and we're intelligent, but we're still pushing the pellet or the button that they want us to push at the same time. You know, if you know, I hate to be pessimistic, but it's part of it. There's a reason why they're
Pessimistic or realistic.
yeah. There's a reason why.
There's a rhyme you can have for free. Use that in this week's song.
I'm going to give you. That's right. I'm going to give you royalties on that one.
Little sample. Just drop it in.
Pessimistic, realistic. I like it.
So, we're almost out of time. Just about another minute here. Give us a quick plug of all your businesses and ventures.
Well, if you want me to pay cash for your house, for your ugly house, I will pay you cash and I will renovate it and make it better.
If you need wrapping done.
If you need any kind of wrapping, make sure you check out my new Bill Cosby rape wrap that I did. It's topical.
Skating equipment.
You need any kind of skate equipment or silkscreen. We have a silkscreen press in the skate shop. So if you need any of that done,
Doing any metal work.
any sheet metal, call me, Alpha Sheet Metal Baby.
And if you had too much to drink,
If you had to, call designated drivers, and we'll be at your place of patronizing
place of drunkenness.
alcoholism-ish. I'd read though that if you're not an alcoholic, if you're still drinking, you're a drunk or something like that.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, if you're in alcoholic classes, you're a quitter.
Okay.
So, anyways, but I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you all for tuning in. Till next week, this is Adam Papagan reminding you that there's a place you can go, and it's your mind.
Sweet. We did it.
Oh, yes, we just walk off.
Well, I hope I said I'm a little tired, so I hope I said something of relevancy.
Yeah, it was fun.
Try to keep it engaging.